Welcome back to Inside the NIL, presented by FundBridge. I'm Margzetta Frazier from UCLA Gymnastics, and in this week's episode, we're breaking down the Players Era Festival, where early season hoops turned into a multi-million-dollar payout for student athletes. And for the first time on the show, we're bringing in a player who actually won the tournament. Texas sophomore Justice Carlton, fresh off of that championship performance. We've also got the Jordan brand signing a historic class of 2025, Lane Kiffin, news shaking up the entire SEC, and the college football playoff picture as it gets even messier with teams fighting for every inch. And of course, I've got a front row seat to talk about my teammate, Jordan Chiles, and her unbelievable run on Dancing with the Stars. We'll also be sure to discuss the if you care about NIL, how athletes build their brands, how money moves, and how the landscape is ever evolving. This is an episode you won't want to miss. Let's jump right into it. On this week's episode, we're breaking down the 2025 Players Era Festival, the second year of a tournament that has completely flipped early season basketball model by paying the players directly. On the men's side, every team in the 18-team field walked in with a guaranteed $1 million NIL payout just for showing up. From there, the top 4 teams earned major bonuses based on where they finished. Michigan dominated Gonzaga to win the championship and collect the $1 million first place bonus, while Gonzaga locked in the $500,000 runner-up payout. In third place game, Kansas beat Tennessee to earn $300,000, and Tennessee rounded out the top 4 with a $200,000 bonus. The women's field delivered some of the best basketball in the entire country this week. Duke, UCLA, South Carolina, and Texas battling in a 2-day showcase that felt like a preview of March. And in the championship game, Texas took down South Carolina 66-64 to win the first ever Players Era women's title and secure the top NIL payout for their bracket. And here's what makes this episode especially exciting. One of the stars of that championship game is actually joining us right now. Texas Longhorns sophomore forward Justice Carlton, a McDonald's All-American and top 15 recruit in the 2024 class, played a massive role in that win, 13 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks against the number 2 team in the country. Before we bring her on for a quick interview, it's worth saying, Players Era isn't just another tournament. It's a blueprint for what athlete-driven events can become, where performance, visibility, and financial reward finally live in the same place. And today, we get to hear about that experience directly from someone who lived it. So let's bring her in. Texas Longhorns forward Justice Carlton joins us now, live on Inside the NIL. Hi, Justice. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Hopefully you had a lovely Thanksgiving.
Thanks. It's not great anymore, but it's all right.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So tell us about your overall experience at the Players Era Festival.
Yeah, so that was our first time being in Vegas, and I had a lot of fun. I thought the tournament was really great. Staying in Vegas is like something that is not comparable to like any other city.
Absolutely. I know that you're busy playing, but what was your favorite part about being in Vegas besides all of the basketball?
I think the hotel was actually really cool. All of the restaurants being inside and just like all of like the sightseeing, I guess you could see without even like leaving the building was like insane. There was an aquarium inside of our hotel that we went to. It was really cool.
An aquarium? That's a bougie hotel.
Yeah.
I need to go there. I've only seen the inside sky Caesar's Palace thing. So how did your teammates approach this coming up season?
We've had some injuries on the team, and I think that the way that we approached it was really good. You know, we stayed focused, and we had a lot of really good practices coming in. Even shoot-around has to be really focused whenever you're playing with a limited amount of people. But I think that we did really well in just making sure that we keep the main goal and that we're focusing on certain players on the floor and limiting points for them and limiting touches for them with like denying and things like that. So I think we did a really good job just kind of keeping track of who we needed to keep track of and limiting touches for certain people on the floor.
Well, you sound like a great leader, a lot of teamwork, and something new in the NIL space. How did you feel about competing at a championship with a cash prize?
It is crazy to think about, honestly. I grew up in Texas, so we haven't had like NIL in high school and stuff like that. So these are all like my first experiences with it. It's insane like how basketball, and especially women's basketball, has changed like over the years. My mom tells me all the time like the stuff that I do and how long we practice, like whatever it may be. Like she was like, now just imagine that, and I did that for nothing. Like, and my mom tells me that all the time, just being super grateful, and I'm blessed to be at a really good school.
Well, you were raised excellent. I love how all things led you guys to this moment. Big question, how are you all splitting the cash?
I have no idea. I guess we'll see whenever somebody pops out with something new, I guess.
So how did your team celebrate the big win? I know you guys are in Vegas, but can't go too crazy, but how did you guys celebrate?
Just kind of walking around, sightseeing. Like I said, we did a little bit before the tournament. I think we just kind of hung out all together as a team, which is crazy because we're like all in each other's space all the time, and even when we have free time, we still want to be with one another. So yeah, just kind of walking around, trying restaurants, trying foods and stuff like that while the tournament was still going on, but just staying focused and still kind of able to balance that outside life with like basketball and stuff.
Yes, besties for life, in and out of the sport. I completely get it. So I know that you're from Texas. What do you love about playing at Texas?
I think the connections that it gives you is really important. Obviously, I'm getting a really good education here, which is something that is really important to me. That's just some of my favorite things here. It was like just a really good decision for me. I'm really close to home. I have 3 little sisters that are 2 hours down the road, so that was something that was really important to me too. And being in like a really tough conference, I think, was something that was really important. I wanted to be tested every game, and I think that we have done that this year, and we've stepped up.
I know there's some tough competition in Texas, but you're giving people a run for their money for sure. And I love that you're surrounded by friends and family. What has your NIL experience been like at such a big school like Texas?
Yeah, it's been crazy, it's also crazy how like your perception of social media changes, I think. Before I came to school, it was kind of being very cautious about what I put on my Instagram and, not really wanting to post on there, not really wanting to be active on there. And so somebody who wasn't super active on their social media and stuff like that, it's like a completely different world that you're stepping into with NIL, and, learning how to be comfortable like posting those videos that you think might be embarrassing, or those pictures that like you don't want your high school friends to see and stuff like that. So I think, kind of getting over that part was the hardest thing for me, but honestly, it's super interesting to see what I can do with my social media platform and what I can see other people on my team do with their platform.
As far as the tournament, I know you were probably spread thin and in the zone and focused, but were there any NIL activities specifically that they had you guys partake in during the tournament?
Yeah, so we work with the Texas One Fund, which was something we did on the Tuesday that we got there. We kind of promoted our teddy bear toss that was going to happen at our next home game, and just filmed a couple videos for Texas One Fund, promoting and donating money for children, like the Big Brother Little Sister program, I think. So that was just one of the few things that we did.
So, Justice, I know the sky is the limit for you. What is your dream NIL collaboration or partnership?
My dream collaboration, which is probably something like many people wouldn't understand, but I have this obsession with Broncos. I actually drive one right now, and I really want one of the vintage Broncos that they do over. There's a company online who does it, and they do over vintage Broncos and make them modern, and I think it's so cool. But that would to be my dream thing, is to drive an old school Bronco.
Well, I know Bronco would be lucky to have an athlete as yourself as the face of their brand. I know any brand would. And congratulations to your team and all of your success. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, before we get into anything else, we have to talk about my girl and Bruins teammates and USA teammate, Jordan Chiles. Because what she just did on national television for the past 10 weeks, that was way bigger than a TV competition. That was a masterclass in what the NIL era is actually supposed to look like. Jordan finished third place in her Dancing with the Stars debut, which is incredible on its own, but when you understand everything she was juggling, it becomes unreal. She was filming a primetime TV show, rehearsing for hours every day, staying on top of school, and training to compete for UCLA this upcoming gymnastics season. She handled all of it with the same joy and grace she brings into our gym every day. And here's why this matters for NIL. Jordan didn't just dance. She expanded her brand. She used this platform to show the country who she is outside of her leotard. Her personality, her work ethic, her humor, her authenticity. That visibility is priceless. You can't manufacture that type of connection. And she was honest about the balance too. The exhaustion, the pressure, the need to just step back and Netflix and chill sometimes. That vulnerability is why fans fell in love with her all season. From an NIL standpoint, Jordan Chiles is the blueprint. She is a two-time Olympian and national champion, a Nike athlete, and now she's proven she can own a totally different stage. That's brand power, that's storytelling. That's exactly what this era allows athletes to do. Build careers that aren't limited to one lane. And as her teammate, I'll just say this. The world finally saw the Jordan we've always known. Hardworking, fearless, grateful, and committed to lifting people up every step of the way. Whether it's a gymnastics meet, the Olympic stage, or a ballroom on ABC, Jordan always shows up. And now, she's bringing all of that energy right back to UCLA for her senior season. I'm biased. I feel like she definitely should have won the competition, and I loved seeing her always involve the team, and they even sat live front and center to watch Dancing with the Stars with the studio audience. And Jordan's always been the person to lift up her people with her, and the sky is the limit for Jordan Chiles, and this was an incredible thing that she could bring to the collegiate space and very inspirational for the generations to come. You're watching Inside the NIL, and I want to take a moment to highlight something that's truly made this show possible. As a former college athlete and creator, I know how hard it can be to get projects like this off the ground. We've got the ideas, the passion, the drive, but sometimes the resources just aren't there. That's where FundBridge comes in. FundBridge is a brand new crowdfunding platform that reimagines how we support creators, athletes, and community projects. Instead of only asking for money, people can also gift real services, producing a podcast, offering a photo shoot, editing a video, or even mentoring a student on how to earn a scholarship. And here's what makes it special. If those ideas turn into something big, the creator has the option to pay it back. If not, that's okay too. It's a gift, given in trust with the chance to come full circle. Huge thank you to StudioPlace here in Los Angeles, to our team at TwinBridge Sports, and of course to FundBridge for powering Inside the NIL. If you're a creator, a brand, or someone who believes in supporting new voices, check it out at fundbridge.me. This platform is changing the way creators launch their ideas, and I'm living proof of that. The college football playoff race right now is getting insanely tight, and you can feel the tension from every program fighting to get in. Take Texas, for example. After their latest win over undefeated Texas A&M, Longhorns head coach Steve Sarkisian is out here practically delivering a courtroom argument for why they deserve a spot. Strength of schedule, multiple top-tier wins, and the fact that their losses came to elite teams. Texas is one of many teams doing everything they can to make the committee see the full picture. And that's the thing about the playoffs committee. They're always looking for reasons to take teams out, not put them in. It feels like every contender is walking around with a magnifying glass hovering over their resume. In a race this tight, the committee will latch onto anything that separates one borderline team from another, even if the gap is microscopic. But the real brewing controversy is the auto bid structure, especially the rule that guarantees a spot for the 5th highest ranked conference champion. When a group of 5 champion jumps into the playoff automatically, that means a stronger Power 4 team with far tougher opponents gets pushed out. It raises 2 major questions. First, are we really rewarding the best teams or just rewarding the easiest pathway? And on that same note, if the committee keeps punishing tough schedules and rewarding clean records, no matter the opponent, why would teams risk challenging non-conference games at all? That's the tension of this entire playoff format. The incentives don't always match the product the sport wants to put on the field. Somebody's going to get left out, and whoever it is, the schedule they played is going to be at the center of the debate. With college football season at its peak, the world was given shocking news over the weekend. Lane Kiffin is out at Ole Miss and officially headed to coach at LSU. And the way it all went down has the entire SEC losing its mind. What's really fueling the outrage isn't just that he left, it's when he left. Ole Miss is heading into the playoff for the first time in school history, and their head coach won't even be on the sideline for it. Fans feel blindsided. Players suddenly have to prepare for the biggest game in history without the person who built the entire run. And the timing raises real questions about loyalty, the coaching carousel, and how the playoff has become damaged in these massive contract moves. Here's the wildest part. LSU built performance bonuses into Kiffin's contract based on Ole Miss's postseason results, meaning he could earn up to $1 million if the Rebels win a national title without him. Yes, Lane Kiffin might cash in on Ole Miss's playoff run while standing on an LSU sideline. Kiffin and his staff were met with waves of boos and plenty of choice words from Ole Miss fans as they boarded their plane out of Oxford. Not exactly a warm goodbye for a coach who just led the Rebels to their first ever college football playoff appearance. This is the new college football. Coaches and players move like free agents. NIL collectives react like front offices, and fans get a front row seat to all of the chaos. Lane Kiffin's dramatic exit is the latest example of how unpredictable and powerful this era of college sports has become. Before we move on, a quick shout out to our presenting sponsor, Next Level Prep. It's a digital media platform helping student athletes share their stories, build their brands, and inspire the next generation. Next Level Prep just launched the University of Wisconsin series, so be sure to follow along on Instagram and YouTube, or visit nextlevelprep.info to get involved now. All right, for this week's Next Level Prep Spotlight, we're heading to Madison because Wisconsin volleyball has a freshman who's already making an impact far beyond what you'd expect from a first-year player. I'm talking about libero Anaya Warren, the #1 libero recruit in the class of 2025, USA U19 captain, gold medalist, and now one of the biggest impact freshmen on a Wisconsin team, entering the NCAA tournament as the #3 overall seed. The Badgers are rolling into the postseason at a 24-4 with 9 straight wins, and while this roster is loaded, it says everything that a freshman like Anaya has carved out a real role on the championship caliber team. And her leadership didn't just start in Madison. This past summer, she captained Team USA in Croatia, leading some of the best young players in the world. In her Next Level Prep interview, she talks about leadership not being a title, but a presence, bringing energy, lifting people up, and making everyone around her better. When you hear her speak, you immediately understand why her teammates gravitate towards her. Let's take a look.
Being the captain of like the USA team, it's not something that like you're like I was like going for or gunning for, like, or even in the goals. It's just something that just your presence, like being there, being on the court. Like I always want the person next to me to be better by just like standing there next to me on the floor. Like whether that's in life or just anything I do, I try and make an impact on every person that I come across, and hopefully that's a good impact. And that's my goal, is to like always leave someone with like, even that just being like a smile from someone that I see. And as I incorporate that into my game, it's just like, come on guys, like let's go, let's bring the heat, let's bring the fire, like let's go after it to win this gold and be as successful as we want to be as we're going into like a different country, which some things that comes with like different stuff, like the food is not always the greatest, but always knowing like no matter what is there, like we're here as a team, and like no matter what, we're gonna fight as a team. And it just was like keeping that team aspect back very prevalent, like always being like a constant like energy, support, and trying to play as consistent as possible like for my team. So I'm mainly a giver, so no matter what I did, I always wanted to give back to the team, give back to those around me. So being the captain just came along with like being who I was and who I am, and it plays just a part in like everyday life. Like I think a captain isn't just like made randomly, it's someone that does it on a daily basis in every single thing that they do in life. And the whole experience of being on that USA team was pretty cool. It was amazing to just go out there and fight for our country against other people in other countries. And it just was like, we're doing this, like you have a different purpose as you're going out there. Like the first time hearing that national anthem play when you're standing on that end line, it just like hits different. And sometimes like girls like can get a little teary-eyed, and it's just like, wow, like I did this at the end of the day. And it's just, I'm out here representing my country, and you only get to do that in a few ways. If that's like competing for the sport or going on the battlefield. And I don't want to go into the army or the battlefield, but I give props to those that do it. But for me to like even be representing my country in that high of a level, it just meant a lot to me.
What makes Anaya so special isn't just the resume, it's the way she carries herself. Wisconsin is known for developing elite players, but the fact that a freshman is already this poised, this steady, this impactful, right as the Badgers begin another deep postseason run, that's rare. And here's something that tells you everything about who she is. While competing for a starting job this summer, she wrote and illustrated her own children's book called I Am Human, a message about embracing mistakes and growing from them. It captures exactly how she approaches the game with humility, self-awareness, and a genuine desire to lift others up. She brings that same energy whether she's on the court, chasing digs, writing a book for kids, or standing on the end line with USA across her chest. With the NCAA tournament starting this week, Wisconsin fans get maybe 1 or 2 more chances to see this group at home. And Anaya Warren is already proving she's going to be a major part of the Badgers' future. She's the kind of player who changes a program from the inside out, and we're going to be talking about her for a long time. After a long day of practice, recovery is everything. That's why I use IceBod Active. It's the first wearable cryotherapy solution built for movement where compression meets cold therapy. The gel packs fast freeze and slide right into the sleeves or the pants. No ice bags, no leaking, no sitting on the floor. Huge shout out to IceBod for sponsoring Inside the NIL. If you want to try it out, head to icebodactive.com. Next up, one of the biggest announcements in college hoops this year. Jordan Brand is officially expanding its NIL roster, and they're doing it in a way we've never seen before. They just signed 4 major basketball stars: Duke freshman twins Cameron and Caden Boozer, Syracuse guard Kyan Anthony, and UConn forward Sarah Strong. And here's the headline: the Boozer twins and Kyan Anthony are the first men's college basketball players Jordan has ever signed to NIL deals. And that's a landmark moment, especially coming from a brand tied so closely to the history of men's basketball. On the women's side, Jordan Brand continues doubling down. Sarah Strong, the #1 recruit in her class and key piece of UConn's national title run last year, is putting up impressive numbers again this season. She called the partnership surreal, saying Jordan represents greatness and confidence, which lines up perfectly with how she plays. On the men's side, Cameron Boozer is already one of Duke's most important players, averaging over 20 points and nearly 10 rebounds through his first 6 games. Off the court, he has a $1.8 million NIL valuation, 7th in all of college basketball. And his brother Caden isn't far behind. And both of them grew up around the game as sons of Duke legend, former NBA player Carlos Boozer. And of course, there's Kiyan Anthony, the top prospect out of New York and the son of Carmelo Anthony. He said, joining Jordan Brand is about carrying on a legacy, and considering Melo's long history with the Jumpman, that connection runs deep. What makes this class different is the lineage. Every single one of these athletes grew up around basketball greatness, and now they're stepping into brand partnerships that match their backgrounds and their trajectories. Jordan Brand isn't just about signing talent. They're signing future faces of the sport who already understand the culture. And the timing matters too. Jordan Brand has been active in NIL, especially on the women's side with athletes like Kiki Rice and Michaela Williams. But this marks a new chapter. It's the first time they're bringing in elite men's hoopers into the Jumpman family. And they picked players who are already producing at a high level and carrying real weight off the court. This is the closest thing we've seen to a true next generation class. Not just endorsements, but long-term relationships rooted in legacy, family, and expectations. And when a brand like Jordan decides who represents the future, that says everything about where the sport is heading. Let's take a break to thank today's sponsor, Legendary Foods. They've stocked us up with some awesome snacks, and they're keeping me and the Inside the NIL team fueled while we shoot. As a former college athlete, I'm constantly training, lifting, and traveling, so finding snacks that align with my goals matter. Legendary has taken the classics we all grew up on, Pop-Tarts, donuts, chips, and rebuilt them into high-protein, low-sugar versions that taste great. And we're putting that to the test right now with a live taste test. No scripts, no filters, just me and Legendary Foods and a whole lot of protein. But what makes this brand really special goes beyond the kitchen. Legendary Foods is also a research company funding innovation to combat diseases like cancer and heart disease. Again, big thank you to Legendary Foods for sponsoring Inside the NIL and for fueling athletes around the world. Now for the real test. Trick or treat. Smell my feet. We have a hot fudge, protein pastry, Pop-Tart, 20 grams of protein. Let's see what we got. Looks yummy. There's no way there's 20 grams of protein in here. I could have this every morning with a cup of tea. Protein goal for the morning, easily hit. Excellent job, Legendary Foods. It's very delicious. And that wraps up this week's episode of Inside the NIL. From the Players Era recap and our conversation with Justice Carlton, to Jordan Brand's next generation of superstars, and Jordan Chiles showing the world what it means to thrive in multiple arenas, this week was a perfect snapshot of how far the NIL economy has come. We're watching college sports shift in real time. Players are earning at bigger levels, brands are taking bigger swings, and the biggest stories aren't just happening on the field. They're happening everywhere athletes choose to show up. Whether you're chasing your next brand deal, or building your platform, or just keeping up with the chaos, remember, NIL is storytelling, positioning, and making the most of every opportunity. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Margzetta Frazier from UCLA Gymnastics, and we'll see you next week.